Since January, the Trump administration has been trying to get federal workers to quit. They've offered incentives like providing pay and benefits through September. But now people are leaving in droves, by the tens of thousands, in fact, and at least one agency is scrambling to fill key positions. NPR's Andrea Hsu is covering this. Hey, Andrea.
Hey, Ari.
Where in the federal government is this happening?
Well, where I've heard about it is at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and specifically the Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, or APHIS. Ari, this is the agency in charge of making sure that goods coming into the country don't pose a risk to American agriculture. Their employees include people who can identify pests found on imported flowers or wood, for example, and they also train dogs to inspect cargo and luggage. And the idea is you don't want to let something into the country that's going to destroy America's farms or forests.
Why would the Trump administration want to shrink that program?
Well, President Trump has said repeatedly that he has a mandate from the American people to make government more efficient, less wasteful. And as part of that, he's ordered federal agencies to reduce their headcount. Now, agencies, including USDA, have been trying to get people to leave voluntarily, as you said, offering people pay and benefits through September in exchange for resigning now. And the USDA says more than 15,000 employees at USDA accepted the deal since it was first offered. And we're hearing more than 1,000 at the agency we've been talking about, APHIS. And for some, their last day was last Wednesday.
And so what's happening now? The agency is looking to fill some of those jobs of people who left?
Yeah, well, in fact, last Thursday, which was just a day after, some of these people left, Human Resources sent an email to the remaining APHIS employees. That email was shared with NPR. And it said, given the impact of recent and upcoming staff departures, they've been approved to fill 73 positions, and they invited people to apply for lateral transfers. Or they're looking for technicians, inspectors, a veterinarian, and others. And they're trying to transfer people into these positions really fast. Applications are due tomorrow, and those chosen will start their new jobs in less than 2 weeks.
It's not unheard of for an employer to go through layoffs and then want to hire people back. Why would this be a big deal?
Well, federal workers I've been hearing from are really angry. And let me tell you about one APHIS employee I spoke with. NPR agreed not to use this person's name because they fear retaliation for speaking out to the media about this. But this employee took the deferred resignation offer, even though they didn't want to leave their job. They took a lot of pride in their work. But there's been so much talk about mass layoffs ahead, including at USDA. This employee tried and couldn't get a straight answer about whether their job would be safe. Meanwhile, federal workers have been told, this deferred resignation offer is a good deal. And if you don't take it, you could end up fired. So this employee quit. And then the very next day, they started hearing from colleagues, who were still at APHIS, who said, hey, your job was just posted. So now this person is furious. They can't believe the government would do this. They feel like none of this has been thought out.
What has USDA said about this?
Well, the press office did not answer our questions about why they let people in mission-critical jobs go. Instead, they sent a statement saying that while Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins is pursuing plans to reduce USDA's workforce, she will not compromise the critical work of the department. And Ari, she'll be on Capitol Hill this week, so we'll see if she takes any questions about this.
And is this happening in other parts of the government, too?
Yeah, in fact, I've heard that the U.S. Forest Service is urgently looking to fill about 900 jobs. Now, we don't know whether all of these openings are due to recent departures, but again, there are lots of questions about what the master plan is here, whether, in fact, there is one.
That's NPR's Andrea Hsu. Thanks for your reporting.
Thanks, Ari.
Well, it's the Puerto Ricans. If it wasn't for them damn Puerto Ricans, black people would be on Easy Street. Well, that Mexican took my job. He ain't took your job. He was given the job. Given the job by who? The people who give out jobs. Well, who are they? Duh. Have you ever had a job? Who gave it to you? Right, come on.
3 migrant farm workers arrested in northwestern Vermont have been deported to Mexico. That's according to Migrant Justice. The deported workers were among the 8 people arrested last month by federal border agents at Pleasant Valley Farm in Berkshire on suspicion they were in the country without proper documentation. Farmers across the state have been keeping a close eye on this case because Vermont's dairy industry depends very heavily on migrant workers. Vermont Public's Bob Kinzel sat down with Agriculture Secretary Anson Tebbetts this week to discuss how this case could affect the future of dairy farming in Vermont.
Anson, I'm not sure that a lot of Vermonters are aware of just how dependent the state's dairy industry is on migrant workers. So tell us about this. How many workers are there, And what would happen to these dairy farms if these workers were no longer able to be employed there?
Well, these workers are essential. They've been in Vermont for a very long time, decades. Many of them have been on the same farm for a long time. They're part of the fabric of the farm. Many farmers tell them they consider them members of their family. So, some estimates have been anywhere from 750 to 850 workers from foreign countries are helping out with dairy. That doesn't include maybe family members that they have as well, because there may be some children, there may be a spouse, there may be a significant other as well.
So without these workers, these dairy farms would be in big trouble. How would they cope with that situation?
Well, they're essential workers. They do a lot of work around the farm. They milk cows. They do the cropping. They take care of the calves. And the reason that we rely on a migrant workforce is because there is not enough local help. And this is not unique to Vermont. Just every state has this situation, whether it's maybe in the produce world, they rely on help from other countries. So it's not unique to Vermont, and it's been with us for a while, and they're members of our community. Some of them the children go to their schools, and so it's essential if we want food, if we want to, and every day we can go on to the supermarket or the co-op or the food bank. Everywhere we go, we have an abundance of food. And we are relying on a tremendous amount of foreign help to produce that, package it, and get it to the store shelves.
So would most of these folks be considered, quote, undocumented? And what does that mean?
Well, I think there's I think most would say that some are here with the the proper paperwork, and there's some most likely that may be undocumented workers. So I think that's a given, and that's been in place for a number of years. I think it started may have started in dairy in Vermont, but it's extended to other industries as well, as they've faced the same pressures of finding a workforce.
You've been in touch with a lot of dairy farmers from all across the state in the last couple of weeks. What are you hearing from them about this issue? Is there much concern out there?
I think there is concern. They're worried about their workers. They care about them. As I mentioned, some of them really feel them as part of their family, and of course they're important to their livelihood as well. So I think there is concern. I think some of the reaction is some of the migrant workforce is not going off the farm as much now as they may have prior to the new administration. So they're changing their shopping habits. Maybe they're not going out as much. Maybe they're going to a different community, maybe a smaller community, et cetera. So all those things. And I think our farmers are helping in any way they can to make our workers, feel safe and protected and valued as they are.
So when they express these concerns to you, what do you tell them?
Well, we're kind of in a difficult spot. For the most part, this is a federal issue that at some point I hope we can address in a meaningful way. The workforce is here. It's been here. We hear things from Washington that we're going to protect the borders. We're going to secure the borders. We're going to do that. And some of the, violent criminals that they believe are here are going to be, taken care of and maybe deported. So maybe those things happen, and maybe we achieve that, and maybe there's a climate now to sit down and have real reform. Like, what does this look like? Because we're going to need this workforce in every single state, whether you're red or blue or whatever state we're in. We're going to need this workforce if we want, the abundance of food that we have now.
Are you optimistic about the future of Vermont's dairy industry?
I am. We just released a report. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everything's rosy. That's not the case. But we did find that it is still a major player in the farm economy, and it supports other industries as well. So it's about a $5.4 billion economic engine in Vermont. There are some warts. There are some, factors in play that, Vermont doesn't have a lot of influence on, and that's, the federal milk pricing sometimes is still a yo-yo for everybody to follow.
Agriculture Secretary Anson Tebbetts, many thanks for being with us today to discuss these important topics.
Thank you, Bob.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China.
Major ports up and down the West Coast are bracing for the full impact of the Trump administration's tariffs. The number of ships arriving is expected to drop dramatically, and the effect will be especially striking in Southern California. Los Angeles and Long Beach are the country's two busiest ports, processing around a third of all cargo containers arriving from overseas, a huge number of them from China. Joining us now is Mario Cordero, CEO of the Port of Long Beach. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you for inviting me here, Aisha.
So can you give us a sense of what's happening right now with your port?
Well, I think the story of the day for the Port of Long Beach is we're starting to see less vessel arrivals, which means less cargo. And of course, that translates to potentially less jobs and an impact to consumers. In other words, they may not have their products in a couple months unless things change.
And so, how much of a drop are you seeing right now?
Well, right now, the first drop that we're seeing actually is going to be here in the month of May. Keep in mind that for the first quarter 2025, that is January through March, the Port of Long Beach moved more container cargo than any other port in the country. So we were certainly on a very high volume movement. April was decent, but now May, we're going to start seeing a reduction. For the second half of 2025, we're looking to at least a 20% reduction in volume.
And how do you know that? Is it because of contracts, or are these things planned out way in advance?
Well, there's two metrics that give you an indication. One, the diminished bookings that are coming out of Asia. There are importers now here in the USA that are not calling for orders from Asia. They're waiting on the sidelines to see where this tariff number falls or more clarity, because right now there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of what that tariff number will be at the end of the day. Number two, as of right now, our numbers through the month of June indicate that the carriers have had 34 blank sailings. What that basically means, 34 less vessels that are coming into the port complex.
And what impact does this have on the wider port economy?
Unless things change, you are going to have an impact in terms of job reduction across the supply chain, whether it's dock workers here at the port, truck drivers, people who work in the warehouses, and overall in the logistics supply chain. So we already have seen what that is in the COVID-19 crisis. If you recall, when during the COVID years, particularly in the latter part of 2020, 2021, everything came to a stop, so to speak.
Those supply chain disruptions during COVID led to higher prices, and then there were also concerns about Christmas presents and stuff like that, whether you would just be able to get basic supplies. Is that something that could happen this time around?
There is a potential of that occurring. So let me give you an example. In this industry, when we talk about peak season, that is the time of year where cargo really comes in at higher numbers. Every year, annually, that starts around July. And the reason is because from July to August, you're looking to advance products coming into the country in preparation for the back to school spending and the holiday spending. Beginning July, that's going to be critical, because if you're a shipper and you're importing holiday type of products or even back to school, are you going to be paying 10% or are you going to be paying 46% of the tariffs? Or in the case, if it's from China, 145%. It's a scenario right now that time's ticking, so to speak, to get clarity and remove uncertainty. And I think that's all the business sectors are asking for at this point.
So the Trump administration is saying it wants to do a deal with China. If that happens, do you think that there will be a lasting impact of these tariffs? Or if they come out with a deal, will everything kind of just get back to normal?
Well, number one, we've been living in a tariff environment. If you recall, in the first Trump administration, there was an implementation of tariffs The Biden administration basically followed that. I think the question now is the percentiles that we're talking about are sometimes prohibitive, specifically the smaller shipper, the mid-sized shipper, and even the larger beneficial cargo owner. And you're starting seeing every day, you listen to the news, CEOs of major companies are concerned. Some of the bigger players in terms of shipments, they're looking to perhaps $100 million to $300 million additional cost on products. And that's concerning because it's going to get passed down to the consumer. So if you get an example of a Nike shoe, so to speak, that shoe that could cost you $125 could now be at least $165.
You said the time is ticking. Is there a time by which you think that companies need these tariffs, whatever deal is going to be made so they have that clarity? Like, is it by July? Is it by June? When does this need to be done?
Actually, the month of May is very key because when you start booking shipments of products, you do that 2 months in anticipation. So if you're looking to getting a product in July, you have to start making this order now. So I think the inflection point here is now in the next 30 days.
That's Mario Cordero, CEO of the Port of Long Beach. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Untouchable. That is how a veteran of Meta described what it felt like working in tech. That is, until just a few years ago. Now, longtime tech employees say management is focusing more on delivering financial results that Wall Street investors expect. And that has turned Silicon Valley's mantra to move fast and break things into a more muted, heads down, keep quiet. WSJ tech reporter Catherine Bindley has been exploring this culture change. So, Katie, basically, tech jobs, once the envy of office workers everywhere, are just starting to look like every other job?
According to some workers, yes. That came up pretty consistently in interviews, especially with people who had been working for some of the large tech companies for a long time. Just the culture shifts, the differences in what's expected of them, really. It used to be like this, and now it's like that. And yeah, it's like working anywhere else.
And let's talk about this and that, because when I think of a tech job, I think of what's become, I think, a very cliched version of it, like ping pong tables in the afternoon and free fancy snacks for everybody in the office. But there are some deeper ways that things are shifting too. Just tell us about those.
Yeah, so these changes have been very slow building. It's not one day everyone woke up and their work environments and their jobs were completely different. So what's different than just, okay, the ping pong tables or the snacks that's really meaningful is the way that they're doing work, I guess you could say. So they're starting to experience things, or have in recent years been experiencing things like job creep, for example. So maybe your coworker gets laid off and the company is then shifting that person's responsibilities onto you, but you might not be getting a promotion or a raise or anything like that. So you're just accumulating more work, working longer hours without some of the recognition that you would typically associate with that. One worker said the company refers to it as agility, which is a euphemism for you are now expected to do a bunch of things that you didn't previously have to do that are not maybe in your job description.
And this was a particular issue at Amazon Web Services, as you described it in your story, with a particular product manager who talked about how when people left jobs, they just weren't backfilling them. Just talk us through some of the changes that have been happening there.
Yeah, so the company did say that they are still backfilling roles, but this particular worker said that the unit that he is working within is taking on more customers. You can presume that they're busier, but in the unit that he's in, they're not backfilling roles. And then the other thing he noted, which was interesting as far as impacts of prioritizing AI, is that there are these important but rather mundane business functions that still need to be taken care of. And his experience has been that you're not always able to get the support you need or get those functions taken care of because there are so many people prioritizing AI or AI-related tasks, products, etc. And so he wrote code for the first time in 10 years because there's a team that normally would have done that for him, but they were not available to help him. So that was kind of another example of just like job creep and the impact of doing more with less.
And there was also a woman there who noted that she saw a pop-up on her screen about keystroke tracking. Can you talk about that too?
She got a pop-up that said your screen is being viewed. And then another employee actually found software on his work computer. And when he looked into it, it said that it could track keystrokes, monitor websites, and also take screenshots. Amazon did say that these types of programs are to protect sensitive and proprietary information and that they are not to monitor employees.
And Katie, based on all these conversations that you've been having with employees across the tech industry, is it just the way that companies grow up that this is what happens, that all the fun things fall away and then serious matters take precedent? Are the glory days, as one worker described them, over for big tech?
In tech specifically, there may have been a perception that the glory days could last forever because of the way the cultures were built. We were talking about perks earlier. For a long time, I mean, it was very standard for workers to push back on policies they didn't agree with and for leaders to really listen and in some cases make business decisions based on whether or not their workers were in favor of things or not. There were a lot of examples from that from a while back, and that's slowly been changing for certainly a while now. They just had very different cultures that weren't common in other industries. But when the supply and demand changes and the labor market changes and the workers no longer have the leverage and the power, you do see that changing dramatically.
And what have the companies themselves or their bosses said about this cultural shift that they're seeing?
Yeah, I mean, we've been hearing this for a while now, essentially ever since there was all this overhiring during the pandemic, then we had a downturn. And then following that, it really became just a much more kind of cautious, cost-conscious environment in tech. And the leaders it's not like they're telling workers one thing and doing another now. They're telling workers exactly what's up, which is, yeah, you need to be efficient. You need to be more productive. And I guess it's take it or leave it mentality. Either you are on board and you want to keep working here or you don't.
That was WSJ tech reporter Katie Bidley.
Context of White Supremacy. Gus T. Renegade in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy. Today's date, Thursday, May 8, 2025. So I have been told. Job creep. Mr. Fuller used to use that term. I think I might be incorrect about this. I have not researched the whole etymology of that phrasing. But I think the origins are from the military. They used to use the phrase, I think it's called mission creep. So white people would start out and say, we're going to go beat up, shoot down some gooks, slant-eyeds in Vietnam. Next thing you know, now we're over in Laos. Like, wait a minute, these aren't even the same slant-eyeds and dark people. What do you mean over here in Laos? You're supposed to be in Vietnam, but you bombing these dark people over here? That type of thing. And they call it mission creep. They say the same thing happens in the workplace. They will start you off and say, your responsibilities are, A, B, and Q. And they come back like they told the tech people, and say, well, wait a minute, we start you off, and your responsibilities are, A, B, and Q. Now, and you had support. Now it's going to be A, B, C, D, E, F, Q, Z, and R. Like, wait, and you have even less support than what you had originally. Like, wait a minute now, y'all. And of course, I ain't got no extra nickels. Not a one. Not a one. But they done added all this extra on my plate. That's one of the things they do to black people on a pretty regular basis. Try and come back and explain why black people have such a difficult time in the workplace. But job creep, one, even if they don't use that phrasing still, they might be familiar with what that looks like in the workplace. Any hoodles. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. Not for spectators. If folks have figured out things, suggestions, codified strategies that would aid non-white people who are in the workplace and attempting to solve problems without creating new problems, let us know. They don't do none of that nonsense and wage theft. Matter of fact, they don't do none of that job creep stuff with you either. They don't come and say, well, you started out, you were working over here, HR helping us do some hiring, what have you, sit in on a few of our panels, we get new candidates and stuff, and now we got you doing all kinds of stuff, training employees, do a little bit of hiring, come over here and do some computer updates with the IT department. Like, whoa, I don't even, can I get a raise? Hello? Raise? No. Can I get a staff? Help get through. Man. If you figured out strategies to help deal with the job creep, wage theft, any of the other problems that we hear on a regular basis, they try and get some lazy, unqualified white person, get you to do all of his work and yours too. Same thing, no raise, no extra staff. Let us know if you figured out some ways to neutralize that and get all that. At minimum, if you're going to do all that, I should get a few extra nickels, right? Take, we can go get lobster. We ain't got to be like Gus T and sit around and eat rabbit food, carrots and spinach. We go get lobster, do it up nice for Mother's Day because I got that big bonus, got that big raise. It got me doing John's work and Susan's work and my work. We do it up big for Mother's Day. If you figured out how to get that, hey, let us know. Let's see. A few things before we get to the folks who dialed in. There were actually some interesting newspaper articles too that I didn't have audio for, but we'll have to see if we can weave those in as we roll as well. The audio that we heard, we started with, they talked about the federal employees. We've heard many reports like that. They had bunches of them where it's been so slipshod. It's been such they've said it repeatedly, seems like it has not been a well thought out, well planned, we're going to scale down, we're going to right size our labor department for the federal government. It doesn't seem like that at all, because they have fired people that were in sensitive positions, fired them, rehired them, fired too many. Now we got gaps in services. Like, come on. All of that just confusion. Now see, we're halfway through 2025. You can't even say, well, Trump just got in office another halfway through the first year, and we still at the same point. Confusion. Getting some folks to leave, some folks to say, get them to leave, and then we got to go out and rehire the next day. Now, what kind of sense does that make? That's the report that we heard in the first one. Say, oh, dang, Johnny, you done stepped down? You think they done pressured you out? It looked like they got your job posted. Why do you need to fire someone if you can go out and rehire somebody to do the same job the next day? What kind of sense does that make? Now, I mean, if that's what Elon is in for, say we're going to do some big time penny pinching because we got these old federal employees, a lot of them white, got these old federal employees and they got all the good government benefits and big paychecks and everything. If we can get some of these old folks out of here and then get in some new people who don't have seniority, maybe we can pay them less. Now, maybe that's a part of the thought strategy, but I mean, dang, that's the sort of thing you do that with, like chicken nuggets. That's what you do at the subway. I don't know if you do that at the federal government, like the CDC and such. Well, wait a minute. Maybe you want some of these people who have some expertise. Maybe they know how to do this job efficiently, correctly to begin with, as opposed to we got to go through all this, hire, hope you find someone competent, didn't get their diploma from one of them old degree mills, varsity blues type thing where they done cheated, can't even spell diploma, can't type, can't swipe. But I'm white. I'm just hanging out. Now I got me a government job too. Come on, man. Let's see. The tariffs report. Before I even get into what they shared, I will repeat, regardless of what type of job you have, if you work at a port or you work at a job, a factory, warehouse, where maybe they are being directly impacted by the on-again, off-again tariff battles and all that, I would not discuss any of that in your work environment with any of your employees. I wouldn't care if they are black. I wouldn't care if your parents work there, your twin brother works there, your sister works, like biological I'm talking about. Your offspring works there, your Negro neighbors work there, black children you went to kindergarten with, you are not. And you want to talk about mission creep. I know there is not nary a person on this broadcast, live or archive. Part of the mission creep is your tasks now include A, B, C, D, F, Q, R, X, T, and you got to give us 5 minutes of your extemporaneous political views of what has transpired this week. Who has that on their agenda? And that's another one. If you do have mission creep on that one, you get rid of that task first. You all did not pay me to come up here and tell you what I think about the tariffs. Trump, Elon Musk, Doge, none of it. None of it. Certainly, if you work with white people, you got to be out of your mind to be coming in and Trump done lost his mind. He done gone crazy. Who said Elon Musk was? I didn't burn down 5 Teslas myself. White people on your job are doing that sort of thing. You can listen, see what they say. You are not there to offer your opinion. Be quiet. Now they said, talking about ports, warehouses, you can already see the impact. Summertime coming up. I guess they already start talking about Christmas because we're halfway through the year. So can we get those toys? Can we get the back to school stuff that we're going to need? Orders and everything start going in early for all of that. And you can already see impact by the orders. What's going to happen? Confusion. We don't want to get caught. Do we put the orders in? Is it going to be way more expensive now because of the tariffs? What we going to do? Confusion. That one I would take note, even though I would not hop into no political discussion, nothing like that. I would pay attention and I would do a lot of listening if they're going to do any sort of layoffs, downsizing. Maybe we're going to bring the AI in at the port too. You want to know that as soon as possible. They think the tariff, and I've heard other reports where they said that they think maybe with all the tariff confusion and such, warehouses and ports, all the market instability, this might encourage them to say, hey, as opposed to having these people here who are worried about their jobs, maybe shooting up more crack and fentanyl now since they're all stressed, coming to work, hungover and all the rest of it, maybe we get rid of some of them and just get in some bots. That way we don't have to worry about paying the bots and are they going to have a job? They're not worried about getting laid off and stressed and upset about it and all that. Maybe we just get in more bots, then we don't have to worry about the employee part of it. The human component, if you will. I'd be paying attention, not chatting, just observing. Is this going to be the death knell for how they get rid of us here at the port? They've been talking about that for years. Lots to pay attention to. The report on, oh man, up in Vermont, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. I don't know if she made it up to Vermont. That is one of the few states I have not visited yet. I need to do my little New England tour so I can go say I hit like Connecticut and Rhode Island and Maine, all those goofy, Vermont, hit all those little goofy racially restricted states. White genetic annihilation in Vermont. We've heard a number of reports. That's one of those places where they had already said, you come to Vermont, you go to school or something like that, we will pay you money. Cash dollar bills. Please stay. Have some babies. Man, if we can get some immigrant folks or anything, you got any of them dark people in Rwanda or the Philippines or anywhere, please come. We'll get you all the long johns you need so you can make it through the winter. Man, we need people. We don't even have enough folks to come in and work on the dairy farm. We got to get folks. Why is that? White genetic annihilation. Can't even run the dairy farm in Vermont because you don't have enough white people. Now, Fuller would say all the time, white people play both sides of the coin. Isn't that the way he phrased it? Metaphor, but isn't that the way he said it? Now you will get racist. They will get red in the face, stomp up and down, spittle flying out their mouth, and I'm tired. Felipe, Gomez, Rodriguez, we got these old raping Latinos and the Mexicans. Underlay, get them on out of here. Arr. They do all that. President Trump and all them, come out. We got to get rid of them. We got to get the ICE people and even some of the so-called ADOS people, right? Jump up and say, hey, man, they not born here. Get on out of here. proud American, right? Then they don't pick up the ADOS people, but you get these other race soldiers. You heard some of them in the segment say, oh man, we got to have our dairy workers. They said, well, is the problem that some of them are not documented? He said, well, some of them are documented, sure. Some of them are not documented. But we still need the help on our dairy farm. You can't just be coming and snatching up the workers. Wait a minute now. If we're all, hey, gotta follow the law. Don't they say that? Law and order and all the rest of it. And if you really need these laborers, you all got programs and such. You could get all these folks over here documented and legal so we could shut all this up. Give them whatever. Give them 15 cars. You got a green one. Y'all into the rainbow, give them a green one, a yellow one, a red one, a pink one, a fuchsia one. You could do all that. Ain't COVID no more, right? You could do all that. Nah. You like it just the way it is? Didn't Fuller say that? We like having these vulnerable dark people risk life and limb and sneak over here. And since they don't have none of them fuchsia and red and pink and blue and green cars that I just mentioned, oh man, you kind of vulnerable. We'll pay you a few potato chips. I can't get no government benefits like the folks that, got them good government. Well, dairy business is hurting. The non-dairy vegan people, old Gus T, got his smoothie right here. He just had the oat milk. See, they don't drink milk no more, so they hurting. We can't give you no raise, Felipe, but we sure do need your labor to get everything harvested up, because we don't have no white people get out there and fight them cows and such in the cold in Vermont. Get cold in the wintertime, see. Both sides. And I've heard bunches of reports that said the exact same thing, where white people will come out and you get droves of them. It'll be a big crowd. They'll come out and cheer and bring Kyle Rittenhouse. No more immigrants, and yeah, we love America, yeah, do all that. And they say, okay, we're going to pass the bill. No more of these folks. You don't have a green card, then get on out of here. They said that in Texas. That's far from Vermont. Same thing happened. Why couldn't you get the bill passed? White people, racists. We play both sides of the fence. Some of the same white people got their MAGA hat and everything. It might be some of the same folks doing the ICE raids, snatching up folks and left and right, and then they come back. Wait a minute. Who you got as the nanny? They got a dairy farm or a strawberry patch. Whoa. Who you got out there picking the strawberry? Well, I can't do everything now. I got a daytime job as ICE. I can't get out there and pick the strawberries too now. Gomez said he was going to pick the strawberries, so, I let him pick the strawberries. And then I help, see. I give him a heads up. I let him know when the ICE folks coming through. Both sides of the fence, and it does not get any better than tacky. The last report, they talked about the tech jobs, and they said, man, it used to be so cool. You get you one of these old tech jobs, you get in Meta or whatever it is, and wow, they got catered food and baristas come in there and make us some old oat milk lattes and whatever else we want fresh. We got ping pong tables and all the goodies set up in the office, and now all that is gone. Now we got job creep and no perks. Would not surprise me. And they said that's one. We don't even have the teams to help no more. They giving us all this extra work, and we don't even have teams to do this. That's one especially I would be curious to know, how is this impacting? Because I know they don't have a lot of Leroys in the tech industry. They do have, that's another one. We got a lot of non-white people that are so-called immigrants. Now, for the tech industry, you have to have a little bit more intellect. So I guess they give them green cars. They could do the same thing with the dairy folks. So I guess they give them green cars. But I would love to know, is this impacting where they have a lot of these non-white people, programmers, and whatever other skill involvement they are in the computer field, tech industry? They used to get perks. They used to be better taken care of in the workplace. And now it's just slave. You're going to get in here. You might have to do some coding. Like, who knows what you're going to do. And you're not getting no new computer. You're not getting no coffee breaks. It's just straight slave. Is that what it is? And we had heard that for some of those people, they were downsizing. Some of those folks that were here and they were on green cards and stuff, they had temporary VC. They like to keep a lot of the non-white people in that tech industry vulnerable too. Give you that old temporary visa. You can be here a year and then you get downsized and don't have that job anymore. You are on, I think they give you like 60 days. You better get that job or ICE folks might be coming to raid you too. Black Get Back, indeed. We have folks in the tech industry. Have you noticed that change? Where it used to be pretty cool, no dress code, come to work, flexible hours, work from home, and it ain't like that no more. If you've noted the change, please share. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Before I nab folks who called in, wrote in, just want to say we are getting close to the end of the academic school year, at least in the U.S. for folks who are little people, right? If you have offspring, nieces, nephews, cousins, whatever, friends who are younger, maybe teens, and they might be looking to get a job for the summer, get some clothes maybe so they can get their back to school clothes or whatever else, just so they can have fun, frolic for the summertime, have their own spending cash. This would be a great time to research to see if you can get your offspring or even just other non-white child a job better than flipping burgers, something grueling for the summertime. Like I've been saying for years, maybe they have an opening at the library. I keep saying the library because, number one, they tend to have air conditioning at the library. That is always a perk. Where you have climate change, might be in California, Texas, where it's 120 degrees, that type of thing. I'd rather be at the library. Air conditioning. I'm sitting down. Might even be so cool that it's frosty. I got to bring a sweater. It's so cool. And I can just sit quietly. Chill, literally. Say, hey, maybe they got some books. Maybe got some cute young ladies want to come in and summer project they work on. Hey, that's what I do. That's what I get paid to do. All the cute young ladies just get in the line right here. What project you working on? That's all day long. We just help them get things together. That's beautiful. Beautiful. We find new reading material, and then you come in tomorrow. We'll talk about it all day tomorrow too. That's beautiful. And I get paid to do it. Beautiful. Maybe black children come in. They got art projects or things that they're working on for the summer. Man, I earn a little bit of karma. That's beautiful. And same thing I just said. Hey, we all get to be in the air conditioning. Anything where you get to be inside, where you don't have to slave. And if you already have an idea about a career or a field that you would like to pursue or learn more about, you have time to research. You can see if you can find an intern or a job where you actually could get paid, something that would be a greater benefit and a greater learning experience, like I said, than just the normal kind of grunt work that non-white people often will get in the summertime. Like I said, the burger type job, or just going to, paint, which might be an outside thing where it's grueling hot, or landscaping. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these jobs. I'm just saying, number one, there's no air conditioning. It's a little bit more challenging to flirt with the young ladies when you've been cutting grass for 3 hours in 100-degree heat, as opposed to you've been chilling in the library, AC, drinking water. I'll let you decide which you'd rather have. So if you have young folks, now is the time. Investigate, see if you can get a great, fun job, work experience for the summertime for your black offspring that they can enjoy, learn, and maybe even start working on their counter-racist code at a young age in the AC. Number again, 605-313-5164, the code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Let's see, folks who dialed in. You can let us know if they've been talking about the tariffs or Trump or Elon, or we gonna get fired and DEI'd on out of here. You can let us know that as well. I don't know if they did Cinco de Mayo in any parts this week. That might have been DEI'd out of the workplace or wherever as well. Like, we can't even get no guacamole and do it upright for May 5 no more. Let's see. Folks who dialed in, victim should be with us. If you have commentary, proceed.
May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you guys for taking my call, and greetings to the cows, listeners and callers. I guess I'll start off by talking about the clip about the dairy workers. The dairy farmer said it makes about $4.5 billion, and it's based upon the labor of, the cheap labor from across the border. I think I heard that correctly. But I do remember during the pandemic that they had to dump large portions of milk because they had no one there to ship it. And me personally, and I know a couple of Black people that are lactose intolerant. So if that industry does go or end up failing, I guess it's what it is. I believe there was a clip about the Long Beach, the dock workers. I do have a cousin that is a longshoreman. I haven't had a chance to speak to him about all the different changes going on, but this person normally posts to social media when they are at work, and they haven't posted in a while. So I'm not sure if this person is affected by it or not, but I have to check up on them and see what happened. A little bit about my current employer. I think you brought up the wage theft, and I am experiencing a little bit of that right now. There was some training that I went to back in January, and we're supposed to get paid mileage for the additional time it takes to get to that location. For me, considering where I live, I had tax on an additional hour to get to that new location for the training. I have yet to be paid for that mileage, which I submitted back in January. So I had to reach out to my supervisor's manager to see what's taking so long. After I reached out to that person, she quickly, I guess, approved it and got the funds out to me. But my supervisor was upset and reprimanded me for contacting this person. This person called me on my personal line and reprimanded me for reaching out to her supervisor. So that happened. And she told me not to contact her unless she says to. So also about my current employment, my attempted spouse just informed me that in California, I guess it's going to start this July, I believe, July 1st, that all companies that have, I guess, over 100 people with insurance, they're supposed to cover the in vitro fertilization. So I was looking at some of the pricing for that. In California, in vitro could range from $15,000 to $40,000. So I thought that was interesting. And I think also Trump also said that if you have a new child, they'll give you additional $5,000. I'm sure this is for white people, so I don't know. This is about my sister-in-law. She has been in the military for the last, 7 years? And during that course, she has been transitioning. So with the new laws put in place, she has now been removed from the military. She still receives benefits, but it was really shocking to her that she had to give up something she was trying to make a career out of. I guess that's all for me right now, Gus, and thank you for taking my call.
What was the reason that your sister kind of had to bid adieu to the military?
Oh, yes. She was transitioning, so she went through the process of, I guess, altering her body to be more male-like. And that, from what I'm told, that's one of the, I guess, the new rules according to the gender laws that Trump has put into place. So she, I guess they removed her, or they call it separating from the military.
Wow. That's gangster. Did they say that was explicitly why they removed her, or were they more refined about it?
You know what the exact wording? I'm hearing it secondhand. I will have to speak to her directly to get the exact wording, but she was going to, because she was it was a lot of things going on at the time. She was done with her active duty, then moving on to her, what do they call it, reserve, and they're going to training, but then this happened, so she went to training, but they didn't know what to do with her, so she was kind of in limbo for like a day out there, and then they finally started separating her. So hopefully that clear, but I could get more information and report that at a later date.
Much obliged for the accuracy, for sure. Appreciate it. Yeah, I even had the integrity to tell her I'm reporting secondhand, so I don't know the exact verbiage that was used. Much obliged. Much obliged. I guess, yeah, if you remember, that would be interesting. At least for me, that'd be interesting to see how it was phrased exactly. But wow, that is I guess the secondhand and all, this is just your opinion, just your view. Do you think this would have happened if if someone other than Trump were in the White House, be that Kamala Harris or Joe Biden, if someone other than Trump and J.D. Vance were in the White House, do you think this would have still happened?
The separated from the military, according to what I've been hearing from the Trump administration, I guess he was against a lot of the contempt for gender to a certain degree. So I don't think this would have happened under a Democratic ran nation, quote unquote nation. That's just my opinion. But yeah.
Okay. When you say Democratic run nation, do you mean like lowercase d or capital D, like Democratic Party, Obama's party?
Quote unquote Democratic. It's all a system of white supremacy, but just under the quote unquote Democrats in general, in my opinion. So.
Gotcha. The party of obesity. I got you. Okay. Well, I don't know. Does Obama get to shake his finger at us? Told you niggers you should have voted. I don't even know. Man, that is wild. Maybe we'll wait. I guess we'll wait. Maybe get the update and we'll wait and get more information on that. But dang, that is much obliged for sharing. That is, man. Let me go, because he had a lot of that. It was a lot of details, layers, as he said, to the last component. Let me see. The earlier portion, I'm going reverse. So he said, in California, he said they're passing legislation. I think he said the number was if it's over 100. If you are a business, you have over 100 employees, the company has to cover the IVF bill. What white genetic annihilation. I do not. And California is one of the states, along with VA, that did the most forced sterilizations, mostly non-white people. Any hoodles. And that's Stanford. I keep saying that. That's Stanford. William Shockley, and they did all that eugenics. Man, they talked about all of that. That's right in California. California has such a, whatever you want to say, California has such a voluminous history of eugenics. And you have it both sides, the forced sterilizations, and we don't want all these dark people, and We got to get white people to have money. That's what William Shockley talked about. I did all that time down there. That was part of it in California. William Shockley has so many reports and articles and lectures and talked about that with Dr. Wells. And we got all these niggers out here having all these welfare babies and running around here and just having children and but then we got all these good, well-being, smart white people like myself, and we're not even having babies, you know? We're not even out here populating Stanford. See, we got to get more white babies, and Trump has been talking about that. That's how you end up with policy like that, where they say in California, over 100 folks, IVF. And he said, how much is this IVF in California? $15K to $40K. We talked about this before. Sometimes you go do the IVF one time, that's not sufficient. You might have to go 2, 3. If my math is correct, I'm a little nigger, but on the high end. So if it's $40K to get the IVF and you have to get that 3 times, that's $120,000. Do they have to cover all 3? Like, good God. Woo! Man, that's the sort of thing. Now look at the metrics of the companies. How many non-white employees do they have? How many Leroys and Lakeisha, if they having difficulties, and we trying to have a little Leroy Jr., trying to have another little Lakeisha, we having some trouble. You know, it's been difficult because a lot of black people, they have difficulty with fertility as well because of racism. How many Leroys and Lakeishas are going to be able to take advantage of that? We got such great jobs and benefits that they'll cover our IVF, even if we have to go get it 2 or 3 times. We're going to get our little Leroy. Come on. Let's see. And then he started off, he said, or even before that one, he said on his job, he said he went to training. That's almost worth applause right there. Like, what? They let a nigger go to training? What? Bravo. Go to all the constructive training that you can so that you can do your job better. That's the type of thing that you want when it's time for a raise, time for a promotion, why should you not be fired? Oh man, I went to the training and learned all this. I know so much more than when you first brought me on. I'm way more valuable to the company now. You need loony to let me go. What are you talking about? Get more training. So he goes to the training and they show their appreciation. He said mileage is supposed to be covered. Now I've seen sometimes those trainings, sometimes you might have to go out of state or at least, a few counties over, parish over, whatever it is. He said, man, mileage is supposed to be covered. Where's my mileage? What? And I've seen that sort of thing happen many, many times. Anything where, like you cover calls, sometimes it'll be like meals. If you do, it might be the same thing. You go out for training and say, well, we cover your meals up to $20, whatever it is. And you just bring us back the receipt and we repay. And you end up having to chase people around for months, weeks. Can I please, I had the chitlin platter, can I please get my compensation? Gas, like, oh man, depending on how much, especially California, depending on how far we had to go, man, can I get my gas compensation? And you got to chase people around all this time. He didn't even do anything incorrect. He said, man, I've been asking. I didn't come in and get an attitude and stop doing work, and I'm going to protest, and I'm going to call Al Sharpton, and y'all going to give me my damn money. He didn't do none of that. He said, I just, been asking. And finally, I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm not the richest person in the world. I go in and ask my supervisor's boss, get the more powerful white person. Say, hey, I've just been trying to see if I can get compensation for this. I got all my receipts and everything. Is there any way we can help get my few nickels? She said, oh yeah. Approves it. All good. Whoopee. Finally got my nickels. All right. Not going to replace white supremacy with justice, but I mean, hey, we take the small victories when we can. He said the white man, I believe it was the white man, the white man comes in. What? Who do you think you are? You don't go over my head, go talk to them about nothing. And what? I was going to do it all the time. All you had to do is be patient. You told me I heard you. I was going to do it. Why is that something to be upset at? If anything, oh, that's one less thing that I have to do. Like, great, she got that taken care of. The nigger got his money. He can go smoke crack or whatever he's going to do and move forward with our, Mother's Day plans or whatever it is. No. I got to go fuss it. You don't go get no money. I'm going to do it. It might have taken me another month. I was going to do that, save that. It was going to be our July 4th event. Hey, you messed up all my fun. Think you are. I've seen that sort of thing. That's the sort of thing where I talk about composure. It would strain my brain computer in terms of, now what did he do incorrect here? They owed him whatever. We'll say California. We'll say they owed him $50. Maybe a little more or a little less. We'll just call it 50. They owed him his $50. He had already reported it. There didn't seem like there was a dispute about this. That's why I always say take a picture, get your receipt, take a picture, all of that. Because I've also seen where they can get real tacky and say, oh man, we lost the receipt. You never gave us the receipt. We didn't even know that you were supposed to be compensated. Did we tell you that we were going to? Like, they'll get super tacky. Save your receipt, all that. And I'm a big advocate. Take a picture. All of us got our phones and are texting, every second. Use it for the picture feature. Take a picture. As soon as you get any sort of workplace receipt documentation where you're supposed to be compensated, oh man, I'm not taking any I wouldn't care if it's for 50 cents. I'm not taking any chances. Take a photograph immediately. That way it's in my phone. We can go get all the documentation if necessary. A lot of times it'll have the specific order number. So if you need to contact the establishment to get a backup copy or confirm that this transaction took place, you'll have all the pertinent information on that picture. That's it. What did he do wrong? I reported, hoping to get my $50. Waited, patient. He didn't come in with a Glock, AR-15. Oh, don't give me my damn money. He didn't do none of that. Wait a little longer. Finally, go to someone who can solve this problem. More powerful white person. Oh, hey, I'm hoping, struggling on welfare, government cheese. Do you think I could get my $50 for gas? Oh, sure, Leroy. You messed up your whole crack schedule, didn't we? Here we go. That could have been the end of it. Nah. The false accusations when you didn't do anything. And really, he's trying to correct a wrong here. But composure. He didn't tell us. Hopefully that's not. No, but he didn't say when the white man, what do you think you are? You don't go over top of my head. How dare you usurp my authority to get your blame $5, whatever. I don't care what it was. You don't. He didn't say he cursed him out. Who do you think you are? You don't talk to me that way. I'm going to get my $50 and crack him. He didn't say none of that. Okay. Yes, and hey, it should be much easier to be calm. I got my $50 now, so I don't have to sit here where he could be mad. Even that's why I said I would just have to think, like, so you're upset that I got compensation that was due to me? I rightfully earned? You're upset about that? Huh. That's just okay. Right on. In fact, I would even say, okay, no argument, nothing to fuss about. But the next time a training comes up, I would try to be proactive, like good old George W. Bush. Preemptive, see? So the next time training comes up, hey, Bob, just to make sure that, we don't have to go through all that rigmarole last time and I had to go and talk to Sue and all that, just to avoid all that. What's the way to make sure that I get any compensation for the training? I can get that in a prompt manner and don't have to come and nag you or anybody else. Know that'll be taken care of. And see what he says. And you might have done all that last time, but just next time, we'll be proactive about all that. Maybe that's what everybody should do, because this is so common around the world. They do the regular wage theft even if you don't go anywhere. He actually had something special, but even if you're just there, you work your normal schedule, this is very common where non-white people have to go and grapple and fight and box somebody just to get paid that they were due. This is all the way back to the plantation. So anything special, like a training that you weren't supposed to go to anyway, where you probably lied to us and were out raping white women, get a receipt, document that you were there, and then check in advance. I was supposed to be compensated for my mileage, or it might be lodging. You might have to stay overnight if it's out of town. That type of. I'm supposed to get receipt, and then what's the procedure to make sure that I can get this ASAP? Okay, and then you do that promptly and document that that was done. But it does not get any better than tacky. And situations like that, perfect illustration. That's one too. If you can see by comparison, if there are people that are classified as white, if they go out for trainings or anything else where they're going to be reimbursed for something that they paid for out of pocket, how long does it take them to get their nickels back? Do they have to chase, half of the employees around the building, and it takes 5 months? It turns into a scavenger hunt and all this to wait just to get their $10 back? Do they have to go through the same effort? Anyway, much obliged. Victim.
Excuse me, Gus.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to make one small correction, if I will, sir. My supervisor is a white female or white woman, and her direct manager is a non-white, non-black female, quote unquote Hispanic. That's the only correction, but absolutely correct, sir.
Awesome. That strive for accuracy. So it's a white woman. So that's the one that did the fussing and getting in your, who do you think you are? You don't go with a white woman who came and did all the fussing, mad that you got your just compensation, and you went to get your compensation from a non-white, non-black employee. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Got it. Thank you for the correction. I can see how that might even add a little bit more to the suspected racist, because I'm in charge of this nigger. I'm running. You gonna go usurp me with some other nigger? Kill both of y'all. She's furious. Like, oh man, I'm practicing racism. I'm practicing I got it. I know this nigger didn't get. I'm the one that's making sure he don't get paid. Who told you? She's so mad. She's so mad. Like, I got it now. That's everything I said was still applied though. Like, why would you be upset about anybody? You earned their little $50. Well, it's not like it's, I suspect, I mean, it is California, but still, I doubt this is enough money to go buy a house. Man, I doubt it's enough money to even go buy a great HEPA filter down in Southern California. But still, I'm mad. Assert my authority. Go and get some no-count, non-white female approved and give you your nickels. What the vindictive? I said that vindictive white women in the workplace, white dudes can be vindictive as well, but I've said that for years. And vindictive without provocation. What does it mean to be white? Thanks for the correction. Much obliged. Victim. Now, other folks who dialed in, observations, commentary to share. If you have any suggestions, I don't know if you have folks, have you figured out a code to make sure, because this is so common. We have people, if you've experienced that, where you had to go and fight, draw blood to get compensated for training or anything else where you paid out of pocket for an expense in the workplace and they did not want to give you your coins, let us know. If you figured out a way, hey, I have nipped this in the bud. You go and talk to them folks in the IT department, or you go talk to the folks in finance, or whatever. You write this up in advance, you will get your nickels immediately. Like, you don't have to waste no time about it. We need that one. The email, untiljustice@gmail.com. That's one thing I say, folks, if you listen to the archives, so if you hear this later on and you hear that, and this has happened to me, and or I have a strategy, I've codified it, and I know this works to get your money immediately. You don't have to go through all that. Let us know. Let's see. Untiljustice@gmail.com for the email. Now, let's see. Email number 1. Hi, Gus and C.O.W.S audience. 1, thank you for sharing the article on the boss who's demanding they sleep over at their subordinates' home 2 days a week. I found it highly amusing for some reason. I suspect all these people are white, as well as the author of the article. The advice in the second article provides a good insight into how white people in the workplace think. Again, I suspect the coworker spending their time on the phone is also white. This was a report in the New York Times. I shared it online where it was a boss saying that there should be some sort of like sleepover once a week where they can come stay on the couch, some sort of madness. Anyway, we'll discuss that. Like I said, there were a number of articles online that were fascinating from the week. Anyway, 2. Leadership workshop is next week. I still need to complete my questionnaire and request feedback, so we'll update the cows in my next report. The questionnaire is completed online, as is the feedback from coworkers. It's all meant to be confidential, so it was fascinating that Zoe, Shelley, Right-Wing Ashley, and Shauna were talking openly about the negative feedback they received. That's what I thought. Like, I don't understand, like, why, because she told us about that last week. Like, they're supposed to be going to the leadership seminar, and they're all out, like, grousing and complaining. I can't believe that they said I'm not a good leader, and all this. Like, man, I said last week, seems so unprofessional to me. Like, man, I would not recommend that. Go to the workshop and see if you can fill in the deficiencies. How about that? She continues, they were griping about it in our team meeting, which was virtual. When I reported this to the cows last week, I had not read the messages in our team's chat. There were some positive comments, but mostly negative. I'll be screenshotting them tomorrow. What I've come to realize is that white people can talk openly in the workplace about their inadequacies as they have each other's back. There's also no consequence to talking about their weaknesses to black people. Shauna is often uncodified, but she did shock me when she revealed that she was described as manipulative. I have no intention of sharing my feedback. A+. I can't believe that. Like, if you are classified as black, there can be no way where you are announcing to the even the same thing I always say, I wouldn't do this even if you work with all black people. Even if you worked with your parents, offspring, siblings, kindergarten homies, I would not be announcing, oh man, do you all believe this foolishness? We done took the workplace survey and they don't come back talking about, I'm manipulative. Can you believe that? They gonna say, Leroy manipulative. Do what? Man, I can see Race over there go write that down, right? Click member. Leroy is manipulating every charge in the world. You know, Leroy came in this morning. I felt like he was trying to manipulate. It's going to be everything. He came up and he was trying to manipulate me up at the soda machine this morning. I felt so uncomfortable. That's going to be every day now. Say less in the workplace, man. Say less. Just be a professional. How about that? If you get some sort of feedback or what have you, just be a professional. Keep your mouth closed. Let's see. 3. We give updates on our projects in our weekly team meetings. As these were online, you can look at people's facial expressions and body language without them knowing you're directly looking at them. Shelley is struggling to hide her disdain for me. Dang. She looks offended by the fact that I've been given a particular project to lead. She probably is. Facts. Like, Negras are not supposed to be in charge. That's Victim Cubed, who was just telling us, who said, man, I went to get my nickels and I went to the non-white supervisor and she hooked me up and got my nickels, and the white woman was furious. White woman said, oh my God, you done went that nigger and got, I can't believe it. Race soldiers hate it when it seems like non-white people might be in charge, trying not to be a Negro. Oh my God. Like, what? Got his nickels back? This Negro's in charge? This Negro's in charge? And her conquering spirit knows no bounds. I previously reported that she and Zoe had told a separate team to report to raise any questions about the project with them instead of me and Shauna. She and Shauna, both black females, like, don't go talk to them old niggers over there. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing. The other team complied with her direction, despite the fact that Shauna and I have been working with them for months. You niggers, that doesn't matter. We could have been working with you all for years. You know, count niggers. That white woman came and said, you leave them niggers alone. You got any questions, you just come in. I got it. Don't even worry about them. I didn't want to talk to them niggers anyway. You know that Shauna is manipulative. Anyway, sorry. Neither Shelley or Zoe can answer the questions, so she inevitably must forward the email to me, which she does, but without clarifying the position. I love that. And in fact, sometimes what I would do, I tell them, don't talk to them niggers over there. You talk to me. You have any questions, you need anything, got your back. So then I'm ignorant, right? See, you got some people, they can't even type. So I don't really know what I'm doing, right? So they ask a question, they need clarification. What I would do, I would just, hey, Lakeisha, that's our big, look here, Lakeisha, I got a question about such and such, and see if you can get her to explain it, and then I just go back and say what she said, see? Let's see. She did that. Shelley did the same with another team this week. They sent a query by email, which Shelley forwarded to me. See, I wouldn't have done the forward. I would have just rewritten it as my own personal question, got her to answer it to me, and then I could have, then she set up Teams channels so that she could keep track of my communication, even though it has nothing to do with her. But she's trying to learn about the project. Usurp your authority. I responded by email, removing Shelley and Zoe from the response. Then a second query came in from the same team about the same matter. Yet again, I wasn't copied into the email. It was forwarded to me by Shelley. She questioned me as to whether I was going to respond. Sorry, that's so funny. I owe her zero explanation, so I replied, thanks. I then emailed the other team. I'd already provided the response, which I reminded them of, and clarified that they should communicate with me as the project lead. Shelley and Zoe were not copied in. Shelley and Zoe are looking for a confrontation. I'm paying them dust. Nor am I going to raise the issue with Shauna or Harry, as that would be playing into Shelley and Zoe's hands. It's also an unnecessary use of my time and energy. I was thinking that the whole time, like, oh my God. Time, it is like, really. White supremacy racism needs to be replaced with justice as soon as possible, because there's so much time and energy wasted. And I mean like decades. They said that whole Vietnam conflict, they're talking about, oh man, it's 50 years since My Lai and old Colin Powell was out there on that too, and oh man, Ho Chi Minh, and waste. All of that. Total waste. We got the communists, we got the total waste. All that money, billions and waste. All that years, Agent Orange and bombing folks, and waste. This system wastes so much time and energy. We got to do all these. Some of these emails would be eliminated because, hey, why is it going second and third hand? And I'm out here I'm clout chasing, practicing racism, but I'm clout chasing. I don't know nothing as opposed to studying, going to training. I'm going to sabotage this Negro. I'm going to see if I can take over this Negro's project. I know I'm not qualified. I'm going to take over this Negro's project. Like, what in the wind? Wasting all this time. They got questions. You got questions. I don't even know what I'm doing. I got questions. Man, we all go learn something from this nigger. Let's go learn. I got to forward their questions along and do all this old nonsense. Even if she had taken my method, I said what to do is the white people, they say, oh, okay, we won't talk to the niggers. We got a question. Look here. Boom, boom, boom. This is the question. And I say, oh, man, I'm ignorant. Let's see. What I do? I'm going to reformulate. And so I ask the question to the nigger woman like it's my question. And she answers it, hopefully in detail. Now, we heard our listener being all spiteful and ignoring and all that. She does all that and gets snooty. I just go to the office and ask her directly. See, I barge in because I'm white. Look here, Lakeisha. What did Parv over here? And boom, boom, boom. Until I get all the information. And then I just go back and I repeat what she said. See, even if I do it that method successfully, all of that time and energy that is wasted, I gotta go walk over here to the office and you didn't answer my question and and all this old nonsense. Why couldn't they just ask her to begin with? She actually does know what she's talking about. She is the lead. All of this wasting time, and then we gotta go all these emails. Thank you. Even the thanks. That's one word I didn't have to type. I had to go through all this send and brain computer got a word. Here we go again. Wasting time and energy. That say that at the end of every program, do not waste non-white people's time and energy. That is what we are trained to do. That is like all day, every day, school, work, wasting non-white people's time and energy. Dr. Kanban talked about that all the time. Let's see. She says, continues. Shelley, they're looking for, I think that's important too in terms of sometimes white people in a workplace situation and beyond, they're Kyle Rittenhouse. I got Wisconsin on my mind. They want a confrontation, particularly when they know white people will be the ones who will decide the confrontation, and the white people who decide is me and or my white homies and friends in the workplace, so it will work to my advantage, even if I am the maldoer, even if you have done nothing incorrect. It doesn't matter. System of white supremacy. But be mindful of that. That's why I say so much in the workplace is about not talking, listening. When you do talk, it's asking questions, not making statements, not pontificating and, just talking minutes and minutes and minutes on end. Say less, listen more, ask questions. Looking for a confrontation. Yep, saving time. And you don't want to be talking endlessly in the workplace. And really, email communication, I think, should be privileged, because that way you have a time-stamped record of what was said, whom was present, all of the pertinent details, as opposed to we just we're talking out in the office and who knows, maybe we don't remember it correctly, we don't have a transcript and all the rest of it. Nah. Short shrift, questions, answers, and then you can go back and email for confirmation. But yeah, be very wary of white people and or non-white people who are deliberately trying to instigate some sort of confrontation in the workplace. These generally do not conclude well for people classified as black. Let's see. Much obliged for the email. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Let's see. I guess I'll do a little bit of that report since it was mentioned in the email as well about the boss wanting to sleep on the couch. I guess that's one thing. Man, I would be prepared. Like, it is difficult. Mr. Fuller used to talk about that all the time in terms of not being surprised about anything. in the system of white supremacy racism, and that is obviously, in my view, logical stance to take. But wow, it can be tough because I would say in the workplace, any other environment, because it can be really difficult to kind of predict the type of things that a race soldier or even some victims that they may ask. The New York Times, they had an article this week, May 4. It was, "My boss wants to sleep on my couch every week." Obviously, it caught my attention. I start looking at the article. I'll read a tidbit. They have a column that talks about kind of workplace advice type things in the New York Times. I suspect other papers as well, but I check it out just to see if they, mention anything that might be useful. Sometimes they do have, helpful suggestions. Sexual intercourse in the workplace comes up quite a bit there as well. My supervisor's husband recently got a job at a university, 2-hour drive from ours. They are moving to be close to his job, and she has asked and received approval to be hybrid in her position. She informed me that she will come to work a couple of days per week and plans to stay with me overnight so she doesn't have to commute. I felt compelled to agree at the moment because she is my boss, but the more I think about this, the more uncomfortable I feel. She even demanded a key to my place shortly after she told me that she would be staying with me. This feels like a gross abuse of power and invasion of privacy. She also thinks that we were best friends and says this frequently during the work week. I just smile in return. I do not think we are best friends. We just work together. She is my boss and honestly not someone I would like to host in my home during the work week. I consider this a form of bringing my work home. She is a very loud person and I am an introvert. I need my time at home alone to decompress and re-energize after the workday. Don't we all? Which tends to be loud and chaotic, largely because she is constantly talking very loud in our shared office. I'm going to go to the advice part. Oh my God. What? When your question arrived in my inbox, I immediately sent it to my editor, and we agreed that it had to make it into this week's Work Friend column. Where do I begin? There's so much wrong here. There's the informing you that is something that is going to happen and the demanding of a key. The expectation that you go along with this. The assumption that the two of you are best friends. We're not friends in the workplace. We are not, unless you're like mom is in the cubicle next to you, or your dad, or your daughter, or something like that. And even the people that I just mentioned, those are not your friends. That's your daughter. You share biological material with these people. Even if it was a friend, what? What? Come on. It feels like a gross abuse of power. It is a gross abuse of power, but it doesn't have to be an invasion of privacy. You can absolutely say, absolutely not, or at the very least, no. I don't know how to tell her this in a way that won't feel like a rejection of the way she views our relationship. You write, this is your opening. You say that because your friendship with her means a lot to you, nothing wrong with a little white lie. Woof. In the New York Times. Are you serious? That term should be retired. Mr. Fuller has it in the word guide. No idea what a little white lie or a big niggardly lie is. I have no idea. We've even talked about this before. Do you lie in the workplace? I know we've talked to some folks who say, hey, my priority is to not lie. I work to not lie to my children and try to exemplify that behavior. Racism, white supremacy is maintained by lying, so I am about not lying. I super respect that. You have other people who say, hey, in the workplace, I am okay with using deception to neutralize racists, white people. That makes logical sense to me, too, in a workplace. So kind of have to pick what you want. But, hey, she says it is nothing wrong with a little white lie. You do not want to jeopardize this relationship. You need to keep work and home life separate, you can say. You need space and privacy, and she will need to make other arrangements. If she protests, you stick to your guns and continue to say, no. If she tries to bargain, you say, no. If she gets pouty or petulant or angry, you say, no. And you do all this as kindly and as firmly as possible and as many times as needed. It's the broken record tactic, and it's effective. At a certain point, the other person has to give up. Listen, I understand that you don't want to hurt her feelings, something you can't control, by the way, and I understand your fear of incurring professional repercussions, but you cannot allow this to happen. Even if it's already happened, you say this is supposed to take place in a matter of weeks, if not sooner. If this is the case, you must tell your boss that you changed your mind about having her stay over and that she'll have to make other arrangements. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to say no after the fact. Let me repeat. You are allowed to say no after the fact. It's interesting that you consulted ChatGPT. More and more of my friends are doing the same thing for advice. I put your exact query, word for word, into the application to see what it would have to say. I wasn't impressed. The AI made all the right points, stressing the importance of maintaining professional boundaries and being aware of power dynamics, but these are things you know already. It also suggested that you offer alternatives like suggesting a hotel or a nearby rental, but this isn't unhelpful. Not only does it suggest that this is your problem to solve, it assumes that in addition to your boss being unprofessional, she is also stupid, which might only add fuel to the fire. I mean, this conversation is going to be hard enough as it is. And I'll stop where that's all of her advice. But I too thought it was mildly funny, but I could totally see this happening. Harvey Weinstein. All the other accounts of pressuring folks and fondling and groping and all that. I think Lionel Richie. Oh man, our caller sheet on the right side. That wonder now the people that the Lionel Richie fan. I wonder if she's gonna write when she finds out, or if they're gonna bring up when they find out about the accusations. Because I think that was one of his people that worked in his house or something that accused him of incorrect behavior. It might have been incorrect sexual behavior. So, man. But I mean, if you got all these accusations and such, why in the world do you need to come to my house? Now, this is another one now. Do we want this trend? I am the boss, and I get to come stay with you once a week, or maybe twice a week, or 3 times a week. Who knows? Does this trend go the same if it is Leroy, and you got a white female who works for you? Come on. Even you got a white man who works for Leroy, and he's married, and he has a white daughter, and he has to go home and tell them, honey, Leroy, he said they've been doing the hybrid, and well, it boiled down. Leroy said he gonna come and he gonna stay on our couch 2 times a week. What? Well, he said he liked children though, so he's looking forward to meeting little Becky. Come on. Come on. But Pam and others talked about, we missed Pamela Evans Harris. She talked about, and Renethia Tate, they both in fact talked about that in the workplace and beyond. A lot of times when white men and or white women, they're able to engage in sexual abuse and rape of black people, non-white people, because we are often in vulnerable positions where we cannot say no. Fear that we'll be fired, fear that we might be killed, who knows? But in a workplace context, you can say no. 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 You cannot sleep on my couch. Anything like that, or you got to come to my house. I'm a big advocate of, you don't even need to be, publicizing your address and such in the workplace, much less. Hey, anybody, if you need a couch, room, spare bedroom, whatever, let me know. My door is open. Come on. Come on. Even if you work with all black people, I would not advocate that policy. Let's see. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564-943 #. Press *61 if you would like to participate. Let's see. If we have folks who have suggestions what to do, compensation, because that is so common in the workplace in terms of white people not wanting to pay you for out-of-pocket expenses in the workplace, or the tariffs, firings, all that, if that's been a point of confusion, stress in your work environment, life in general, let us know. Let's see. NAP folk. Oh, and the email again, untiljustice@gmail.com. Untiljustice@gmail.com. Give folks a minute or two, see if they have additional commentary. We'll be here on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Last session on Abraham Bolden's The Echo from Dealey Plaza. Tons of workplace racism there, although generally you don't end up in greater confinement because of your racist employees. But hey, Abraham Bolden. Wrapping it up tomorrow. And then the compensatory call-in for Saturday. We'll review news information from the past 7 days. Tomorrow, I think we might even be here for so-called Mother's Day on Sunday as well. We'll update on Saturday just to make sure, but I think we might be here every day now through Sunday. Oh, I forgot. The broadcast for tomorrow, because we are wrapping it up, will be all done with Abraham Bolden's The Echo from Dealey Plaza. In fact, we're so close to being done. We only have one chapter, last chapter, and the epilogue, and we'll be done. So since we only have one section tomorrow, that program will come on 30 minutes early. We'll be on at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, just because we have the one and done. We can wrap it all up. Lots of time to chit-chat about the whole book and concluding thoughts, JFK assassination and all that. And then it'll still be light enough now that we're into spring for real. I'm going to go, plant, workshop. Lots of fun. I can use some of my extra time on my Friday evening since we will only have one session. But that is tomorrow. Still doing the book club, just scooching it forward just 30 minutes earlier. 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central, 4:30 p.m. Pacific tomorrow as we wrap it all up. Abraham Bolden, The Echo from Dealey Plaza. Let's see. Make sure I didn't miss any of our emails with regards to the workplace. Let's see. Email number 2. Let's see. Good evening, Gus, C.O.W.S audience. I've been going through the archives and wanted to share my thoughts on the construction plantations. One of your reports, and white person killed a black male while he was using the portable toilet. I remember that. I think that was down in Florida. I might be wrong about the location. I think it was in Florida. I might be wrong about the location. This happened some years back, but it was a black male. He was in went to use the portable toilet on the construction site. And somehow it was a white man. He was in one of the construction vehicles, which is important. Like, he wasn't driving a Lamborghini. He was in a construction vehicle and somehow ended up backing over the porta potty with the black male in it. Horrendous, right? And I had said back then when I mentioned it, like, most of the time these construction vehicles, they are not designed to go like 100 miles an hour. Like, this should have been the type of thing where it's almost like a whoop, whoop, whoop. Sorry, my fault, Leroy. Did I get you? Whoop. Like, all you really would have heard is the whoop from the truck, like tapping the porta potty, and then he'd be like, whoops, oh, dang, I didn't hit the porta potty. Dang, I didn't probably got a little bit on Leroy. My fault, brother. My fault. We'll get the hose. We'll get it right. We'll get it right. So that's what it should have been, not a I ran over the entire porta potty and killed Leroy and squished the porta potty. Like, what? The racism on the construction sites is astronomical, but this incident specifically is in the archives for workplace racism. Continuing. So they killed the black male in the porta potty. Not sure if you remember that report. I do. I wrote in a while back when all the black upheavals were going on and it was so-called strange times when George Floyd was murdered, I reported that a white machine operator was distracted by all the black protesters in the news and hit a white foreman in the head with a bucket of the machine and was not fired or even disciplined. Jesus Christ. Like, what in the world? Like, what? You said he was distracted by watching protests, Negro protesters. So is there a television like inside the crane operation? Did he have his like phone out? Did he have like a tablet with like CNN or BBC News on? And so he's operating the bucket or whatever machine or whatever, and he looks at that. Look at that damn Leroy out there rolling around. I'm gonna show you some black light. Oh Lord, Doug, Jesus Christ. Oh Lord, get the CPR. I done killed Doug. I can't are you and when all this happens, you almost killed Doug. What is wrong with you? Get your act together. What were you doing? The niggers were they I can't get up. Like, was he watching TV? Like, for real? Did they let you watch TV on the construction site? That's another one that seems kind of unprofessional and dangerous. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't really know. I don't know what to say other than, I didn't think you were supposed to be watching television on the construction site to grouse about niggers on TV or Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or, I mean, man. And nothing happened. White people don't get fired. They don't even get reprimanded if you kill somebody on the construction site. Like, come on, man. Come on. I mean, that's why you wear your construction hat at all times on the construction site. Niggers might be protesting, and who knows what's going to be raining from. Sorry. Let's see. So you almost killed the white foreman. On the same plantation, a different white foreman rode on the outside of the machine I was operating, and the white supervisor came up to us while he was riding side saddle on the machine and spoke only to me, saying, if I see him riding on your machine, I'm going to fire you. Why is it? Well, that would seem like at minimum that should be a both of you. Now, look here, Leroy, that if I ever see this sort of tomfoolery on a construction site, that you're both out of here. Now get off of that machine. That's what it should be, right? It's a grown white man. Like, I didn't pick him up and sit him down on the machine. What is it? Don't let me find out that the white fella sitting on the machine is the foreman's like nephew, son, cousin, brother-in-law. Come on. He said, you about to be fired. Didn't speak a word to the white foreman. When it comes to discipline, black people will get the full extent of the law, for sure. I've been going through the archives and noticed that the white guests that you've interviewed when you gave your definition would disagree with it. Now it appears that they may be listening to the program or they have adjusted their code. Either way, I wanted to see if you guys have noticed that or anyone else had noticed. Since white people are the experts, can we suggest that they give their definition of racism first, then give yours? Still learning. Thanks for all your hard work. Bottom portion doesn't really have anything to do with workplace racism. We can talk about that later. But the construction part, for sure, that's beyond construction, really. Black people always get the book thrown at them. Metaphor. And even that's something to keep in mind for the workplace, in my opinion. You might see white people break all kinds of rules in the workplace, and I mean all kinds of, stole everything, doing flips off the back of the machine while it's in motion, anything. Anything. That does not mean Leroy and Lakeisha can do this too with impunity. Get that out your brain. So, you want to be about policy and procedure, following the rules, and part of that and I would even say documenting other transgressions, because that is black people getting the fullest extent of any sort of punitive action. And then they almost killed the person at work, and we don't even do nothing. You don't even get sent to do training again. Like, that is not equal enforcement of the law. That actually would be a constitutional violation. So that's why Fuller recommended making note of that sort of thing. If you were to see a white person operating that same machine that you were driving around professionally, I might add, and then some white person hops up and is riding side saddle on the machine and nobody says anything, that would be the sort of things that document date, time, who it was, who was on duty, who was the foreman, all of that, because that is a violation of the Constitution. It's supposed to be everybody treated the same way. See that again, you are going to be fired, thrown out on your keister. Not the black people, they're going to be thrown out on their keister. Just the black fella, even if he's not the one that's breaking the rules. White person, well, maybe we say something, maybe we don't. Much obliged. The construction industry, they will kill you. I cannot say that enough. They will kill you on those construction sites. Lots of that has happened down through the years. If anything, you want to be codified about white supremacy, racism in that environment, because you could be killed with a whoops, drop the hammer or whatever the case may be. Man, you want to be informed about white supremacy, racism, have your helmet on, and be codified at all times. Super dangerous, the construction environment. Yikes. Let's see. The email again, untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Give folks 5 minutes or so if they have additional observations, thoughts to share, figured out any strategies that work for your job environment to minimize conflict with other black people. We're always looking to minimize those confrontations and shouting matches, and got to go upside somebody's head in the workplace. See if we can reduce that as much as possible. Increase just raises, promotions. Got a bigger office that is not mine, but I still have a little bit more space to work with while I'm on the plantation. That's the sort of thing. Want to see if we can work to get a little bit more of that, as opposed to the "you are fired, Leroy, now get on out of here." We've got lots of that on the plantation. Like, yes, that is the whole goal of neutralizing workplace racism, to see if we can minimize that as best we can from a very, very weak position. Star 61, other folks, they have thoughts, observations. Mother's Day, so-called Sunday, like I said, you have to double check. You can check social media. I'll update as soon as I get confirmation, like Sunday. Yes. And time, if we are broadcasting, it will be normal time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. This Sunday evening, normal time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. But I will update as soon as I get confirmation about what's going down for the weekend. But if you are, going to participate in all of the festivities, I'd say, one, try and see if you can do things where you don't have to give white people a lot of money and going out and buying lots of, expensive gifts and all that. Not that, non-white parents and black mommies, not that they're not worth all of that, but it would be different if this was, your mother's company where you were going to buy the gift from, whatever it was going to be, and she was going to be getting the profits from all that, and you and the rest of her attempted family, that would be one thing. But if it's just going to buy a bunch of nonsense that white people will be the ones to benefit more than anybody else. Like, yeah, let's, we can spend time and gratitude and make some good healthy food and all that. Like, it's lots of ways that you can celebrate, have a great time, and let black mommies, non-white mommies know that they are not taken for granted at all without fattening up white people's bottom line, going to their restaurant or going to buy their flowers, balloons, whatever else. And I don't know, I suspect we might have some non-white moms who are a little anxious, shall I say, with all the fire. Like, man, I hope I'm not going to be fired for Mother's Day. Man, mess the whole dinner and, celebration up. And or other people who intended to go out and, we go take her out to dinner and all that. It might be, well, I don't know, I got fired. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go to work on Monday. Like, man, they messed up all of it. So might be an interesting celebration, I guess, at least for some this time around. Or for the people who, hey, nothing to celebrate, system of white supremacy, racism. Sunday is just another day on the plantation. 605-313-5164, the code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Last minute or two, see if folks have anything else they would like to share before we wrap up a game. Now, I don't know where folks are in their parts of the world, but Mother's Day is supposed to be this so-called weekend. Memorial Day later this month. Hopefully people have nice long 3-day weekends, as they call it, in a few weeks or what have you. But the weather is warming. Some places, I know I've had jobs where they have the company picnics and all that stuff. Memorial Day and July 4th, if you're in the States. Man, I would start working on your code right now. If you think you have to attend some of these functions to stay in the good graces of race soldiers on your job, I would go ahead and be thinking of how to get through that as painlessly as possible now. And part of that might include, I'm not going to be hanging out at this event for no 5 hours, no 3 hours, none of that. I'll be there briefly, get to wave, take a selfie, and we're out of here. But already be thinking about that now, and what you might need to satisfy or survive that sort of encounter. They might have white children at the park, because sometimes they'll, invite your family and, all that old nonsense. So I would process all that well in advance. Do I have to go? Am I going? If I'm going, this is how long I'm going to stay. See if I can bring somebody with me who's going to be sober, help me watch my back. And then we get out of here safely and in one piece. But it would be a whole plan about, if you got to go to some sort of function. I wouldn't care even if a whole lot of the other black workers who, your colleagues, if they're going to be present, whoopee for them. I have to see if, I'm going to go or not, what have you. Let me see, make sure I didn't miss any of the folks who also had commentary. Let's see. Folks are spectating. Hopefully, for all the folks who are spectating, hopefully that means we are not terrorized on the job. Race soldiers, leave us alone. We get all of our benefits, all of our compensation. We get all of our raises. When we do performance evaluations, they are sparkling every time. We are not in that group out there grousing and coming. Can you believe they said I'm manipulative and all that? Nah. They always have great things. And really, I brag about my performance evaluations. Hopefully, everybody, that is the position that you are in. For the folks, if you are spectating for Neutralizing Workplace Racism and or getting your notes prepared to share with us. This is the method that I have found effective in getting all of my compensation back immediately when I have out-of-pocket expenses in the workplace. We'll be looking forward to share that next time around then. Anywho, let's see. We should be here, as I said, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's not Friday, not 8 p.m. is 7:30. There we go. 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Friday. 6:30 p.m. Central, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Just 30 minutes. That is all. 30 minutes ahead. Only one section, basically, one audio segment for tomorrow's broadcast. We will hit it, quit it, and that will give me just a little 30-minute window so I can be constructive with my Friday evening and still do the full podcast as we wrap up Abraham Bolden and then compensatory call-in this Saturday. Try and study what is transpiring in the U.S. global system of white supremacy racism. Let's see. That's it. I don't know. Folks might be spectating or might be prepping for Mother's Day. I don't know. Do people, I don't know. I didn't get the impression that people take off and all that. I know they get their preparations and victuals if they're going to cook or go out to eat and all that. They're getting all that set up right now. So they might be preoccupied with other craziness that is happening. But alas, we will get ready. See folks on Friday, or chat it up on Friday for the Catherine Massey Book Club and compensatory call-in on Saturday. Hopefully worthy of your Thursday evening. If you hear the archives, I guess as the listener who wrote in second there, you listen to the archives, let us know if you have constructive suggestions for the workplace. We are always looking at, I can at least speak for Gus T, always looking, eager for information that can be used to help non-white people in the workplace because we have so many deficiencies, really all areas of people activity, but labor, whew, it is really bad. We need so much help there. Sobriety would be best under conditions of white supremacy. Man, we need high-functioning brain computers to solve our problems. That's it. Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people. We ask that you help us remain patient with ourselves. Remind us to not waste non-white people's time and energy. Help us maximize our time and energy to replace white supremacy with justice immediately. No gossiping, especially in the workplace. Gee whiz. No gossiping. No name calling black people. No throwaway offspring to be terrorized by white people at work and at school. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cal signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. No problem. You're a victim. Yeah. I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Mm-hmm. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.